Sorry about the wait, everyone. I've been informed by the Deputy Corporate Officer that the new live feed is now back up. So if members of council are still there hiding with their cameras off, if you could please return to the meeting, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Panatin. Councillor Lambert, I believe that you were speaking.
Yep. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So another question that I asked myself, does the project add to the diversity of housing options that are promoted in the OCP? And the answer to that is yes, in the sense that the project now adds one fully purpose-built rental building to our rental housing stock. So does the project address our housing crisis and desperate need for affordable housing? Well, the proposal does not, in my view, provide an affordable housing option for most people. The market rents, will be exceeding the 30% income threshold for most missing middle median income households, particularly if you look at them at the regional level. And that's something that we can debate, I suppose, but it's important. I'm asking these questions to help me make a decision about the value of this, the sort of net community value. And so how does the project impact the neighborhood? We've heard about traffic impacts, but we know that they're incremental and minor, an additional 10 vehicle trips per peak hour compared to the approved project. These are anticipated, but it's not a sufficient reason to justify rejecting the proposal. The building bulk, the increased height, has significant impacts on views from Sentinel Hill and West Royal Towers. It also increases the shadowing impacts to the north, and particularly across the public spaces at the Marine Taylor Gateway. And something else that I don't think has been discussed is that in the addition of the 100 units, the 50 rental and the 45 strata condo, there's no additional sort of pro rata community amenity space being provided for these new residents, and that may be fine. Maybe there is sufficient in the existing development to accommodate that. Then we get to how has this proposal responded to the July 22nd council motion that referred this project to public consultation? So the applicant has been unwilling or unable to redesign the building facades to address urban design concerns regarding visual bulk. They just aren't able to do it. The applicant has made a nominal effort to deal with improvements to access and egress to the West Royal site, but its efforts all predate the 22nd July motion. And the applicant has not actively pursued the opportunity to help develop the Marine Taylor Gateway or develop a Park Royal multimodal transit hub, or partner with Squamish First Nation to otherwise improve circulation and reduce traffic congestion entering and leaving South Park Royal lands, although they remain committed to doing so in some way, in some unspecified in the future. On the question, does the project set a precedent? Well, yes, it does. Both with regard to the development approvals process and higher density thresholds. Staff initially recommended in their council report against the proposal because, and we've heard that it isn't consistent with the recently approved local area plan, and to quote, it undermines the urban design narrative for the area, contributing to a monotonous skyline and impacting significant public views. In the current report to council, staff have walked back these concerns, citing instead that the proposal will deliver additional purpose-built rental housing and generally aligns with the higher level goals of the local area plan. Additionally, sort of approved development density is already the highest in the district, are going to be edged up even further. The nominal FAR would increase from 2.5 to 3.07. And the effective FAR, given that all of the residential development is being built on the north site parcel owned by Park Royal, would double that, or approximately to an FAR of 6. So in the aftermath of this application, there are already others that are lining up Me Too style for extra or unprecedented high density developments in areas that are designated for local area plans, but none currently exist. And I gotta say, I dread the path going forward, having to justify this project and perhaps justify turning down another project with this as a precedent, and an expectation, in fact, developers in the community.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, can somebody turn off their mic? I'm getting a lot of feedback on.
So I haven't talked about the CACs, and you know, the $10 million cash CAC to me was a very powerful incentive for considering this this project. And I think I've learned something through this, is that really I don't think we should think about CACs at all when we're evaluating the project in the content in its planning context. I mean, the reason the number is so big is because the valuation has been enhanced by these unsecured rental units as strata condo in the Taylor Way building. Otherwise, it would be considerably less. And I think it does make a difference, or it certainly was an influence to me. Now, this is a little bit off topic, but I want to say it here too, is that with CACs, we had begun to develop a public benefits policy, and we don't have one in place. And I note that of the, you know, the $10.7 million that was from the initial approved project, and that was deposited into the unrestricted CAC fund. That fund sits at 8 point something million now, and we don't really know where that money has gone. And there's no knowing where this $10 million that we're contributing is going to go either. So it doesn't have to do with the approval of this project, but I really do think that we have to establish a discipline follow through on that public benefits policy, and have some accountability as to where we use those CAC funds. In terms of public sentiment, well, we've seen tonight that there was, you know, overwhelming support from the speakers for the project, and we also see something else in the emails, the opposite reaction in emails that have been sent to mayor and council, and it is important that we somehow sort through this and respond to genuine public concerns. I think that's our duty. It does get difficult to do when you have situations like this, and I must say, sort of a public hearing is really not the very best place to have discussions about ongoing discussions about housing policy. So, just a few concluding remarks. You know, the timing of this proposal shortly after freshly after the approval of the local area plan and the original rezoning application, you know, the process has been open and transparent. It may have appeared otherwise to some, but I think everything that was put forward was done so in good faith and honestly. I mean, we didn't, as council, invite a new application from the owner, but neither did we reject the proposal out of hand, because I think we have a duty to consider proposals that maybe seem to offer sort of some significant social or community benefit. But we have to ask ourselves if there's a compelling case for additional density at this site, when there are many opportunities to distribute new density in designated OCP growth areas with less impact. And, are 50 additional rental units enough to offset or justify the neighborhood impacts? And those are questions, they're not rhetorical questions. Final couple of observations. There's relentless pressure to increase floor area ratio throughout West Van. And, with few tools available to us to manage development, I really feel that we need to complete our local area plans and as soon as we can and abide by them. Adding more strata units at Park Royal also, just an observation, puts the project in direct competition with the district's own Gordon Avenue project, which is also proposing to add 50 strata units. And then finally, I'd like to say that sort of some of the opportunities that I was hoping for, wishing for to continue to develop and evolve the Park Royal Regional Shopping Center into a fully functional, mixed-use, transit-oriented, complete community neighborhood don't have to be compromised by the decision on this project, whatever it happens to be. So that's my more than 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Council, I'm not going to repeat a lot of the obvious things, but I hope you'll bear with me because like most of you, 12:15 isn't my most articulate time of day. First of all, I do want to clarify finally, for the record, that this proposal that we're discussing tonight is to add 89 more permanent rental units and 6 rental units that will be secured for 20 years. There is no debate on what we're dealing with tonight. I think Councillor Lambert is, I don't really want to speculate, but I don't really know where he gets his numbers. No question, there's been some movement of the units within the buildings, but this is 95 more rental units. And I firmly believe, actually, and I'm willing to put money on it, that this project is going to be rented for a very long time, even the unsecured units. From what I've observed, Larco is in the rental business. They have 4 towers on the north side, 3 towers on the north side. A 4th is envisioned. And that has been disclosed and was discussed during this whole long local area plan process. So I fully understand, I think, what their business model is, and that is it's around cash flow. It's around generational financial well-being. So all of these units in the short and long term will be rented. There's no question in my mind. But anyway, I just had to clarify that. The second thing that I do want to put out there, and I actually meant to say it on Monday, and so I want to make sure I say it tonight. A median priced house in West Vancouver is valued at $2.8 million. I mentioned on Tuesday that we have the highest price to income ratios of any North American city, including Manhattan. The income that is required to service debt, assuming a normal down payment and existing interest rates, the income that is required to buy a $2.8 million house in West Vancouver is $434,000 a year. $434,000 a year is the family income that is required. And the problem is there aren't that many people, there aren't that many families that can afford that. So how do we make housing affordable in West Vancouver? Well, we've learned that the one way to do that is to offer rental, market rental, below market rental, smaller condominiums, but not single family homes. Single family homes are out of reach for most people, most young people, most families. And I ran, like Councillor Gambioli, on a very clear platform and a clear vision and a clear agenda to build new housing options for young families and seniors. That's my vision. That's my motivation. And like Councillor Cameron, I'm thinking of the people always first, always. Okay, the next thing I want to do is to actually thank Councillor Lambert and Councillor Thompson for bringing this forward for reconsideration last June. At the time they did, I was hesitant actually to support this because of the issues around the local area plan that have already been mentioned. However, I would say my one regret on council, that Councillor Cameron alluded to, was that we tried to compromise when this project came forward in 2019. We tried to find a way, actually Councillor Cameron did, to his credit, tried to find a way to bring all of council together so that we could support unanimously the local area plan. And I said 2019, it was actually 2018. And so we compromised and we actually didn't go as high as staff recommended. And we went down to 11 and 14 floors. And then the two councillors that said they were going to compromise and support it didn't. And my biggest regret is that I didn't halt. When I saw the path we were on, I didn't halt the proceedings and say, let's just go back to what staff recommended, because we're not getting a compromise. And so the reason I'm thanking Councillor Lambert and Councillor Thompson is actually they've given me and this council an opportunity to correct a mistake. I saw it as a mistake at the time because I felt we left density on the table. We left the opportunity to build housing for families, for young people, for seniors in a really modest high-rise or tower. For this location, which has the best busing in West Vancouver, has the best amenities, some of the best amenities in West Vancouver, has childcare there and transit, I felt we should have taken more advantage of the property. So I'm now able to support what I thought should have been done in the first place. And I just want to say that our job is to think 30 to 50 years from now. Like the visionary councils who approved the Ambleside apartment zone, the West Royal high-rises, and Evelyn, despite immediate and vocal opposition, including a failed referendum. And the people that are living in those 1,900 apartments in the Ambleside apartment zone, and the people that are living in those 350 to 500 units in Evelyn, and the people that are living in the West Royal would not have homes in our community, but for the vision of those council to do, as Councillor Gambioli said, the right thing. It's not about our reputation. It's not about how we look doing our job. It's actually about doing the right thing and having to look yourself in the mirror every morning and every night. And to say, I did the best job for this community. That's what's important. And yeah, developers may come back. They may ask for more in the future, which is their prerogative, just like Park Royal. It's up to council to make the decision. They can come back as many times as they want, but it's up to council to make the decision, and council shouldn't be cutting off their nose to spite their face. And to be honest, the fact that we're now at 2020 and we passed this local area plan in 2017, 3 years, the world has changed. We didn't know the Beeline was going to stop at Park Royal. We didn't know that we were going to be in a global pandemic. We didn't know that the housing crisis would be even worse than it was 5 years ago. And so, absolutely, we have the right to change our mind, and we should change our mind. I'm just checking my notes, everybody. I think I'm almost done. So I guess I'll just conclude by saying thank you to everyone that wrote us. Thank you to everyone that showed up tonight at council. Thank you to everyone that called in. This is a democracy, and we do listen and pay attention to what everyone says. But this isn't a referendum. I don't count the number of people that write me on one side or the other. I read every single piece of correspondence, and then ultimately, I have to make a decision. I have to make the decision in the best interests of the community. Our affordability crisis, like our climate crisis, is a tough nut to crack. So we must look at every single opportunity through that lens. This is an excellent opportunity that we cannot ignore. Thank you, everybody, for your patience and for staying this late. So I'm going to call the question, and I'm going to get out my little cheat sheet here. Hold on, just bear with me to find my, I got papers throwing. So I'm going to go in reverse alphabetical order tonight because we were in alphabetical order on Tuesday. Is everybody ready to vote? All right.
Yes.
Okay, so Councillor Wong.
Nay.
Councillor Thompson.
Sorry, unmute. Aye.
Councillor Soprovich.
Nay.
Can I ask,
Councillor
can I ask for a clarification of Councillor Wong's vote?
Councillor Wong.
I couldn't hear it.
Oh, so he said no, nay.
Okay.
Councillor Wong said no. Councillor Thompson, yes. Soprovich, no. Lambert.
Nay.
Gambioli.
Yay.
Councillor Cameron.
Yay.
And I'm a yay. And that means that this project passes and is approved. That's on the first part of that motion carried. And then we go to...
It is not an adoption. It's not approved until adoption is done, from what I gather.
You're
The
correct.
comment that it's
Sorry,
approved.
that resolution, Councillor Soprovich, is approved.
Yes,
That-
correct, but not the project as such.
I don't think I said that it was adopted. I said it was approved. So we go down to the next motion, which is the Councillor Thompson.
I'll recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010 amendment bylaw number 5065, 2020 be read a third time.
Can I get a, well, I'll second that unless someone else wants to. All right,
And I'll recommend that the proposed housing agreement authorized by number 5066,
We have to-
2020.
We have to vote on the previous one you put on the table,
Pardon me,
Councillor.
yeah.
sorry, so we count Mr. Panatin, because it is late. We're on the official community plan being read a third time. Is that correct?
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
All right. So again, I'll go through the councillors and reverse alphabetical. Councillor Wong,
Nay.
Councillor Thompson,
Aye.
Councillor Soprovich,
Nay,
Lambert,
Nay.
Councillor Gambioli,
Yay.
Councillor Cameron,
Aye.
and I support this as well. So that is carried. And then the next is the third motion, Councillor Thompson.
I recommend that the proposed housing agreement authorization bylaw number 5066, 2020 be read a second time.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, through you to Councillor Thompson, it should be that the zoning bylaw. be read
Oh,
a
I'm
second.
sorry. I scrolled too far.
Thank you.
Okay, so that the proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010 amendment bylaw number 5065, 2020 be read a second time.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Councillor Wong,
Nay.
Councillor Thompson,
Aye.
Councillor Soprovich,
nay,
Councillor Lambert,
Nay.
Councillor Gambioli,
Yay.
Councillor Cameron,
Aye.
and I. So that's passed. Motion is the zoning bylaw third time reading. Councillor Thompson.
That the proposed zoning bylaw number 466, 2010 amendment bylaw number 505, 2020 be read a third time.
Second.
Thank you. And Councillor Wong,
Nay.
Councillor Thompson,
Aye.
Councillor Soprovich,
nay,
Councillor Lambert,
Nay.
Violi,
Yay.
Councillor Cameron,
Yay. Aye.
and I'm a positive or a yay and a nay, an aye. So that's carried. Fifth motion.
Sorry, I'll recommend that the proposed housing agreement authorized bylaw number 5066, 2020 be read a second time.
I'll second that. All right. So Councillor Wong,
Nay.
Councillor Thompson,
Aye.
Councillor Soprovich,
nay,
Councillor Lambert,
Nay.
Councillor Gambioli,
Yay.
Councillor Cameron,
Aye.
and I'm aye as well. So that's carried. And the fifth and final one, or the sixth and final one,
I'll recommend that the proposed housing agreement authorized by number 5066, 2020 be read a third time.
Second.
okay, Councillor Gambioli, second that.
I'm sorry, but there's a lot of shuffling of paper. Can we like not do that while we're voting? It's very hard to listen and hear. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Wong,
Nay.
Councillor Thompson,
Aye.
Councillor Soprovich,
nay,
Councillor Lambert,
Nay.
Councillor Gambioli,
Yay.
Councillor Cameron,
Aye.
and I'm my aye as well, so that is carried. Mr. Panatin, is that adequate?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. And jumping ahead to public questions and comments, I can confirm that we don't have any.
I would move for adjournment, Your Worship.
All right. Seconder,
Second.
Counselor Sapovich. Anybody opposed?
I hope not.
Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Everyone in
Aye.
favor, say aye.
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 Okay, and that is, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning. No.
Yeah,
Good-
happy
good
Friday,
morning.
council.
Well done. Thank you
night.
very much.